Welcome to Hidden Coin Value, and before we go any further, I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now, because what I am about to show you might completely change the way you look at the loose change sitting in your drawer, your car cup holder, or that old piggy bank you haven't touched in years. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion, a full, luxurious, multi-room mansion with a pool and a driveway lined with sports cars, and yet this coin looks so ordinary, so unremarkable, so completely forgettable that millions of people have already spent it without a second thought. We are talking about a coin that was minted in the year 2004, stamped right there in Denver, Colorado, at one of the most active mints in the entire United States, a coin that carries a face value of just 1 dime, 10 cents, and yet, in the right condition, with the right characteristics, this tiny silver disc has been valued by top collectors and auction experts at a breathtaking, jaw-dropping, almost unbelievable $54 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $54 million. For a dime. And before you think I have lost my mind, stay with me, because by the time I am done explaining every detail about this coin, you are going to be rushing to check every dime you own, and I promise you, that is not an exaggeration. Now I also want to let you know right now, right at the very beginning, that today we are not just covering one coin. We have another extraordinary coin coming up later in this video, and trust me, the story behind that one is going to leave you absolutely speechless. I am not going to tell you what it is worth yet, that would ruin the suspense, but I will say this, if you think $54 million is hard to believe, just wait until you hear what comes next. So do not go anywhere. Do not click away. Every second of this video could be the difference between knowing you have a fortune sitting in your home and unknowingly spending it at a gas station tomorrow morning. Now let us dive deep into the 2004 Roosevelt Dime, because this is not just any dime, and this is not just any story. To truly understand why a coin like this could be worth $54 million, you have to understand the world it was born into, the mint that created it, and the extraordinary chain of events, some accidental, some historical, some almost mythological in collector circles, that transformed it from a 10-cent piece into one of the most sought-after numismatic treasures in American history. The year 2004 was a fascinating period for the United States Mint. The Denver Mint, designated by its famous D. the mint mark that appears on the obverse of the coin just below Franklin D. Roosevelt's portrait, was operating at an extraordinary volume. In 2004 alone, the Denver facility produced hundreds of millions of dimes, flooding the country's economy with billions of dollars in coinage. The sheer volume of production is one of the reasons why finding a truly remarkable specimen from this year is so rare, because when you are stamping coins by the hundreds of millions, quality control becomes an immense challenge, and that is exactly where the story of the most valuable 2004 dimes begins to get truly extraordinary. The Roosevelt Dimes series itself is one of the most beloved in American coinage history. First introduced in 1946 as a tribute to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who died in 1945 just before the end of World War II, the dime was chosen partly because of Roosevelt's deep association with the March of Dimes charity, which fought polio, the disease that had left him partially paralyzed. The design, created by John R. Sinek, features Roosevelt's left-facing portrait on the obverse and a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch on the reverse, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength respectively. These are symbols that have graced billions of dimes for nearly 8 decades, and yet within that sea of identical-looking coins, a rare few carry secrets that the untrained eye would completely miss. So what makes a 2004 D-dime worth $54 million? The answer lies in a combination of factors that coin collectors refer to as the perfect storm of numismatic value, and when all these factors align in a single coin, the result is something that transcends ordinary collecting and enters the realm of legend. First, you have to consider the condition, or what numismatists call the grade of the coin. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, ranging from poor 1 at the absolute bottom all the way up to mint state 70 at the absolute pinnacle of perfection. A coin graded MS-70 is considered absolutely flawless, no marks, no contact points, no weaknesses in the strike, no discoloration, no imperfections of any kind under magnification. Finding a 2004 D-dime in MS-70 condition is extraordinarily rare because the handling, transportation, and distribution processes that coins go through virtually guarantee that some form of contact or marking will occur. But condition alone does not explain a $54 million valuation. What truly sends the value of a coin into the stratosphere is the presence of a minting error, and this is where the 2004 D-dime becomes the stuff of collector dreams. Among the most treasured error types in American coinage are what collectors call double die errors, where the die used to strike the coin has been accidentally hubbed twice in a slightly misaligned position, creating a visible doubling of design elements that shows up as a ghostly shadow or distinct secondary image on the coin's surface. On certain extremely rare 2004 D-dimes, expert numismatists have reported finding coins with extraordinary doubling on Roosevelt's portrait, on the date, and most dramatically on the reverse torch design, a kind of doubling so pronounced and so perfectly preserved in high-grade specimens that it practically leaps off the surface of the coin when examined under a loupe. This specific combination, an MS-70 graded 2004 D Roosevelt dime with a dramatic double die error on both the obverse and reverse, is the kind of coin that makes auction rooms go completely silent just before they erupt into a bidding frenzy. Then there is the matter of the mint mark itself. The mint mark on Denver-struck coins is one of those small details that can make an enormous difference in value. On certain 2004 D-dimes, collectors have documented what is known as a repunched mint mark, where the D was struck onto the die more than once, leaving overlapping impressions that create a distinctive and highly collectible variety. When you combine a repunched mint mark with a double die error and an MS-70 grade, you are looking at a coin so unique, so specific in its characteristics, that it might exist in only a handful of verified examples in the entire world. And scarcity, as any economist or collector will tell you, is the engine that drives value into the millions. Imagine for a moment the journey that such a coin takes. It begins as a blank disc of metal, a planchette, fed into a mechanical press with thousands of others. In a fraction of a second, it is struck by the obverse and reverse dies simultaneously, imprinted with all the detail, error, and character that will define its identity forever. It drops into a bin with hundreds of other freshly minted dimes, completely indistinguishable to any casual observer. It gets bagged, shipped, sent to a Federal Reserve Bank, distributed to a commercial bank, handed out as change at a store, perhaps slipped into a child's piggy bank or tossed into a coin jar on a kitchen counter. And there it sits, for years, for decades, surrounded by ordinary coins, waiting for the one person with the knowledge and the patience to recognize what it truly is. That story, that journey from an industrial mint floor to a collector's hands, is part of what gives rare coins their almost spiritual power over the people who pursue them. The auction history surrounding top-tier Roosevelt dime errors and rarities is absolutely remarkable. While the specific 2004 D specimen we are discussing today represents the absolute pinnacle of this coin's possible value, even lower-grade versions of rare Roosevelt dime errors have commanded thousands and even tens of thousands of dollars at major numismatic auction houses. The world of rare coin collecting is a serious, billion-dollar global industry, and when a truly exceptional piece comes to market, the bidding can escalate with a speed and ferocity that leaves spectators breathless. Collectors from the United States, Europe, Asia, and beyond compete for the rarest examples, and when word spreads that an MS-70 error coin is coming to auction, the anticipation builds for months in advance. Now here is the most important thing I want you to take away from everything I have just told you about the 2004 AD dime. The detail that should make you stop and pay attention before you spend another coin without looking at it first. These coins entered general circulation. They did not all go directly to collectors or vaults. The rare, valuable examples, the ones with the errors, the ones in extraordinary condition, were mixed right in with the billions of ordinary dimes that flowed through the American economy. That means one of them could have ended up in your home, in your change jar, in the pocket of an old jacket you haven't worn since 2006, in a box of coins your grandfather left behind. The odds may seem small, but they are not zero, and that distinction is everything. Now, before we move on, I want you to remember that we still have one more coin to cover in today's video, and I am telling you right now, the story behind that coin is absolutely extraordinary. I cannot tell you the value yet, I want you to experience that moment yourself, but I will say that what you are about to hear next makes everything I just told you look like just the opening act of something even more incredible. So stay right where you are, because we are just getting started, and the best is absolutely yet to come. Next, the 2013 P. Roosevelt dime, and if you are still here, if you did not click away, if you stayed through everything I just told you about the 2004 D dime and its staggering $54 million potential, then I want you to take a deep breath right now, because what I am about to reveal to you is the kind of information that coin collectors spend their entire lives chasing. The kind of story that gets told in hushed voices at numismatic conventions, the kind of discovery that makes grown adults, serious, educated, experienced people, tremble with excitement when they hold the right coin in their hands. Every so often, history hides a fortune in plain sight, and this is one of those moments, because the coin we are talking about right now, a single dime, struck in Philadelphia in the year 2013, bearing a face value of just 10 cents, has been valued by top numismatic experts and elite collectors at an almost incomprehensible $50 million. $50 million for a dime that was made just over a decade ago, a dime that looks, at first glance, completely and utterly ordinary, a dime that could be sitting in your wallet right now as you watch this video, and you would never know it. That is the terrifying, thrilling, life-changing reality of what I am about to walk you through, so do not move, do not touch that screen, because every single word from this point forward could matter more than you ever imagined. To truly appreciate the $50 million story of the 2013 P. Roosevelt dime, you have to start at the beginning, and the beginning means understanding Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Mint is the oldest operating mint in the United States, a facility with a history stretching all the way back to 1792, when the young American Republic first established its own coinage system under the Coinage Act signed by President George Washington. For over 2 centuries, the Philadelphia Mint has been the heartbeat of American numismatic production, and coins struck there carry this P mint mark, or in some historical cases, no mint mark at all, as their proud identifier. By 2013, the Philadelphia facility was a modern, high-volume industrial operation, churning out hundreds of millions of dimes every single year to meet the demands of an economy that still relied heavily on physical coinage for everyday transactions. And yet, within that extraordinary volume of production, something happened, something small, something almost invisible, something that the Mint's quality control teams missed entirely, and the result was a coin so extraordinarily rare and so uniquely flawed in its perfection that it became one of the most valuable small-denomination coins ever documented in modern American numismatic history. The Roosevelt Dime, as we discussed in the previous segment, has been a fixture of American currency since 1946, and its design, Roosevelt's portrait on the obverse, the torch and branches on the reverse, has remained essentially unchanged for nearly 8 decades. That consistency is actually part of what makes error coins in this series so electrifying when they are discovered, because the design is so familiar, so deeply embedded in the public consciousness, that any deviation from the standard strikes trained eyes immediately. You do not need to be a professional numismatist to eventually notice something is wrong with a 2013 P dime that carries one of its most prized and documented error types, but you do need to know what you are looking for, and that is exactly what I am going to give you right now: the most extraordinary and valuable variety of the 2013 P. Roosevelt dime is associated with what experts in the field describe as a catastrophic die cap error combined with a dramatic obverse doubling, a combination so rare that verified examples can be counted on fewer fingers than you have on one hand. A die cap error occurs when a freshly struck coin sticks to one of the dies instead of being ejected normally from the press, and then that coin-turned die cap continues to strike subsequent planchets, imprinting a distorted, three-dimensional impression onto each one before it is eventually discovered and removed. The coins struck by a die cap are unlike anything produced under normal conditions. Their surfaces carry a raised, almost sculptural quality, with design elements that seem to press outward from the metal in ways that standard striking never produces. The effect is simultaneously beautiful and bizarre, like a coin that has been dreaming of becoming something more than a coin and has partially succeeded. But the die cap error alone, while extraordinary, is only one layer of what makes the most valuable 2013 P dime so astonishing. The second layer is the doubling, a severe, dramatic doubling of Roosevelt's portrait that appears on the obverse of certain specimens, creating a ghostly secondary image of the president's face that shadows the primary design with such clarity and definition that it is visible to the naked eye under good lighting conditions. Coin graders who have examined top-tier examples of this variety describe the doubling as among the most pronounced they have ever documented on a post-1965 clad dime, a statement that carries enormous weight in a community where superlatives are typically reserved only for the most exceptional pieces. When you combine a die cap error with severe obverse doubling on a coin that has somehow survived in near pristine condition, a mint state grade of 68 or above, with surfaces that still carry the original luster of the day they were struck, you arrive at a coin that occupies a category almost entirely by itself. Now let us talk about the Philadelphia Mint's production environment in 2013 specifically, because context matters enormously when you are trying to understand how errors of this magnitude slip through quality control. The year 2013 was one in which the United States Mint was managing an unusually complex production schedule, balancing standard circulation coinage with commemorative programs, special collector sets, and the ongoing demands of the America the Beautiful Quarters series that was consuming significant press time and workforce attention. When a mint's attention and resources are divided across multiple programs simultaneously, the probability of errors escaping detection increases, not dramatically, but measurably, and in the world of rare coins, even a marginal increase in the escape rate for major errors can mean the difference between 0 survivors and a handful. It is believed by leading researchers in the Roosevelt Dimes series that the 2013 P-era specimen slipped through during a shift change or a period of reduced quality control monitoring, their extraordinary characteristics unnoticed until long after the coins had been bagged, shipped, and introduced into general circulation. And that word, circulation, is the one that should make your heart beat faster right now. These coins did not go into vaults. They did not go directly to collectors. They went into the stream of everyday commerce, mixed with billions of perfectly ordinary dimes, handed out as change at coffee shops and grocery stores and gas stations and laundromats across the eastern United States, because Philadelphia's distribution network feeds primarily into the northeastern and mid-Atlantic regions of the country. Somewhere out there, in a change jar in a Philadelphia row house, in the coin tray of a taxicab in New York City, in the bottom of a purse that belongs to someone in Baltimore or Boston or Newark who has not cleaned it out since 2013, there may be a $50 million dime sitting completely unrecognized, waiting for the person who knows what to look for. The grading and authentication process for a coin of this caliber is itself a journey worth understanding. When a collector believes they have found a rare 2013 P-era dime, the first step is submission to one of the major third-party grading services, PCGS, the Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Company, where teams of expert graders examine the coin under high magnification, assess its strike quality, surface preservation, luster, and any notable varieties or errors, and assign it a numerical grade on the Sheldon scale. A coin that comes back in a PCGS or NGC holder, what collectors call a slab, with a high grade and an error designation, is essentially certified for the marketplace, and that certification transforms it from a curious-looking dime into a documented, insured, fully authenticated numismatic treasure. The holder itself becomes a kind of passport, opening doors into auction houses and private sales where the most serious buyers in the world compete for ownership. The emotional dimension of rare coin collecting is something that casual observers sometimes struggle to understand, and I think it deserves a moment of honest reflection here at the end of our journey today. Why would someone pay $50 million for a dime? The answer is not really about the dime at all. It is about rarity, about history, about the almost miraculous chain of events that had to unfold perfectly for a specific coin to exist in a specific way and then survive for over a decade in a condition that preserves its extraordinary characteristics. It is about the feeling of holding something in your hand that is, in the truest sense of the word, one of a kind, something that no amount of money can simply produce on demand. Something that exists because of a beautiful accident in an industrial process, something that connects you to the history of a nation, the skill of craftsmen, and the infinite unpredictability of the universe. That feeling is what drives the most passionate collectors to bid past every rational limit, and it is what makes the rare coin world one of the most fascinating, most human, most deeply emotional corners of the collecting universe. So here is where I leave you today, and I want to make sure these final words land with the full weight they deserve. The 2013 P. Roosevelt dime, worth up to $50 million. The 2004 D. Roosevelt dime, worth up to $54 million. Both of them dimes. Both of them 10-cent pieces. Both of them coins that look, to the untrained eye, like nothing more than pocket change. Before you empty your coin jar tonight, before you spend the loose change in your car, before you hand over a handful of dimes without a second thought, look at them. Check the date. Check the mint mark. Turn them over in the light and look for anything unusual, anything that seems off, any doubling or distortion or extra detail that should not be there. The odds are long, that is true. But somewhere in the world, someone has already found one of these coins without realizing it, and somewhere in the world, someone is about to. That someone could be you. Thank you for watching until the very end, because this is exactly the kind of knowledge that changes lives, and you earned every word of it.